Welcome to the Explainer. Okay, today we are diving headfirst into a really fascinating, honestly pretty emotional case study that gets right to the absolute core of human relationships: trust. We're going to unpack a true narrative about a young couple, and we're going to use their experience to really understand the mechanics of doubt, the brutal impact of a sudden betrayal, and the excruciatingly slow process of rebuilding a completely shattered foundation. It is a powerful look at human behavior when put under immense pressure, so let's get right into it.
So ask yourself, how quickly can a happy marriage shatter into a million pieces? We usually think of relationship breakdowns as these slow, drawn-out things, right? Years of simmering resentment or just slowly growing apart. But what if the bedrock of a marriage could be completely pulverized, not in years or even months, but literally in a matter of days? Hold on to that thought because it perfectly sets the stage for the incredibly fragile nature of trust that we're about to see. Section 1. The unexpected arrival. When expectations meet reality.
Okay, so our source material introduces us to Alicia, she's 27, and her husband David, who's 35. They've been married for 2 years and, by all accounts, they had a perfectly normal, happy life in their small apartment. Working, eating together, watching TV. Alicia really believed their foundation was rock solid. Well, that is until about 5 weeks ago when Alicia gave birth to their baby girl. Now, this is a moment everyone expects to be just pure joy. But visually, the contrast is stark. You see, both David and Alicia share very similar physical traits: brown hair, dark brown eyes. But their newborn arrives with pale blue eyes and light, almost blonde hair. Now, scientifically speaking, this is completely normal. A baby's hair and eye color can, and often does, change drastically in the early months. But as we all know, human emotion doesn't always listen to science. And this visual mismatch, it becomes the absolute trigger for the whole crisis.
Which brings us to Section 2, the seed of doubt, and those very first cracks. Picture the hospital room, a space that should be filled with warmth and celebration, but instead there's this immediate chilling shift. When the nurse hands David his new daughter, he doesn't smile. No tears of joy. He just stares at her, looking visibly confused. His face turns completely cold, and he actually says, "She doesn't look like us. Her hair, her eyes, this is not normal." It's this profound moment where flawed logic just completely takes the wheel. David immediately rejects Alicia's perfectly sound, medically accurate explanation that newborn features change. He literally lets a seed of doubt bypass all reason. He looks at this baby as if she isn't his, and he refuses to let that thought go, even while his exhausted wife is begging him to just rest and talk about it later.
Section 3. The breaking point and the rapid unraveling.
So they get home and the situation doesn't calm down at all. Actually, it accelerates like a wildfire. Day by day, week by week, it just builds. Look at this timeline. Day 1, the baby is born. By day 2, they're home, but David completely withdraws. He avoids holding the baby, barely even speaks to Alicia, and just isolates himself in another room. By week 1, he confronts Alicia and outright demands a paternity test, saying he needs proof. And by week 2, despite Alicia's tears and promising she's been loyal, David packs a bag and leaves for his parents' house to think. Guys, this is the complete deterioration of a happy 2-year marriage, and it all happens in just 14 days.
The crucial breaking point here is captured in this absolutely devastating ultimatum. He says, "I don't care, I want the test. If you say no, then maybe we should end this marriage." Take a second to really feel the immense emotional weight of that. David is holding their entire marriage hostage based on a visual assumption. For Alicia, she's backed into an impossible corner. She is being forced to prove a loyalty she never broke, under the very real threat of divorce, literally days after giving birth. And the reality of what happens next is just heartbreaking. Alicia is left entirely alone. She's caring for a crying newborn around the clock. She is dealing with intense physical back pain from childbirth. And on top of the whole shebang, she's enduring this profound emotional abandonment. Meanwhile, David's communication is reduced to these cold, clinical text messages. There are no check-ins, no "how are you feeling?" Just demanding texts asking if she's scheduled a DNA test appointment yet. The contrast between her intense vulnerability at home and his cold detachment is just absolutely striking. Moving on to Section 4, the truth revealed, the clinic and the climax.
When they finally meet up at the clinic for this test, the atmosphere is just overwhelmingly tense. David treats Alicia, his wife, the mother of his newborn child, like a complete stranger off the street. No hugs, no smiles, just the cold, clinical transaction of taking DNA samples. Then comes a grueling 3-day wait. Finally, they're called back. The nurse hands David the paper. His hands are literally shaking. He reads it, his eyes go wide in shock, and there it is, 99.99%, the undeniable mathematical probability of paternity. It is absolute vindication for Alicia. She was telling the truth the entire time.
Now, the psychology of how they both react to this is absolutely fascinating. When Alicia sees that David is proven wrong, she actually laughs. It's this laugh of pure relief and, yeah, a bit of vindication after the sheer hell she's been put through. But David? How does he react to the ironclad proof that his wife is faithful and his child is his? He doesn't apologize. He doesn't hug her. He gets incredibly angry. His face turns bright red, he snaps that it's not funny, and once again turns around and walks out to think. The paradox here is wild. The DNA test completely solved the genetic question, but it actually deepened the emotional fracture between them. His ego and his embarrassment completely overrode his relief.
Section 5. Rebuilding Shattered Trust and the Complex Reality of Repair.
So eventually, reality finally sets in. David shows up at Alicia's door. He looks exhausted, his eyes are red from lack of sleep, he asks to come in, he holds his suddenly slightly bigger baby girl, and the massive weight of what he's done just crashes down on him. He gives this apology. "I'm sorry, I was wrong, I didn't trust you, I hurt you, I didn't understand." He admits he thought she cheated, admits he missed his daughter's first precious days, and begs to be a family again. Now, if this were a Hollywood movie, right here is where the music swells, they hug, and everything is forgiven.
But this isn't a movie, and Alicia brilliantly reclaims her agency. She doesn't just fold and say, "It's okay." She looks at him and says, "It's not about doing anything fast. It takes time. You left me when I needed you most." What a masterclass in setting a firm boundary, right? She's telling him that words aren't going to cut it anymore. The trust is broken. She is demanding real, sustained work. She lets him stay. She lets him be a father. But she makes it crystal clear that they are absolutely not okay yet.
What follows is this series of slow, methodical steps toward reconciliation. It's not magic. It's intense labor. Step 1. David stays in the home, living with the really uncomfortable reality that he has to earn his place back. Step 2. He actually helps. He changes the baby. He holds her when she cries. He bears the actual physical burden of parenting. Step 3. Communication completely shifts. Alicia stops hiding her feelings. If she's hurt, she says it. If she's exhausted, she says it. And David actually has to sit there and listen. What we're seeing here proves a universal truth. Trust is exponentially harder to rebuild than it is to break.
When you look at Alicia's perspective through all of this, her character growth is just profound. She goes from this panicked, pleading wife to a remarkably strong, self-assured mother. She learns some hard truths, that trust is literally everything, that without it, even a happy home can break, and love becomes incredibly weak. She learned the painful lesson that you must never leave someone when they need you the most. But honestly, most importantly, she discovered her own resilience. She learned she can stand completely alone, she can protect her child, and she will never, ever accept disrespect again. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final, provocative question to chew on. Can a relationship ever truly be the same once the foundation of trust has been completely fractured? Sure, people can rebuild, and David and Alicia are definitely trying. But is it the exact same house, or is it just a new one built on patched concrete? Think about it. Thank you so much for joining me today as we broke down the anatomy of this crisis. Keep analyzing, keep asking those tough questions, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.